Okay, great. Um, oops. I am just going to say hello again. I'm Sue Haydock. I'm the Arts and Culture Coordinator with the town of Canmore, and I have the privilege of working with artists in the community and around the of Alberta and elsewhere that come to Canmore to share their art and creativity and all sorts of different ways. And part of my work is housing the Three Sisters Gallery, of which we'll be calling for artists in 2024 to exhibit there. Right now, Art Walk in the Woods is our sort of this is our winter installation. We typically run this when we do have these again World Cup events, and it helps draw attention to Canmore through these events. Typically, we see over 5 to 10, 15, maybe even 20,000 people attending the World Cup events. And we also have almost 3 million, 4 million on viewership because everything is broadcast through our television networks here in Canada and the US and internationally because Canmore is kind of that destination of the globe when it comes to sport. So we're really privileged to be having that opportunity. And what the town of Canmore wanted to do was, and sort of in past, has put together an art walk that allows people and visitors going up to the Nordic Center to participate in an opportunity to explore some of the artistic creativity in the community, looking at culture, blending that with the idea of sport, active transportation in that the ways to the events are through a shuttle bus happening downtown and by walking, typically up the Nordic Center stairway, which most locals know here, is part of our Riverside and Spurline pathways taking you up to the Nordic Center. So those options being part of the transportation to the Nordic Center, we want to draw attention to art along that walkway. And that's kind of how this project has come to light. So I will share my screen and go through some of the slides, give us a little bit of an agenda, the pieces I'll be going through. And if you do have questions, I'll kind of do this in a few segments. So there'll be probably about 5 segments, and that'll offer people a chance to answer questions on sort of the first kind of segments rather than trying to get all of this information in once. But we'll also have questions at the end for people who want to sort of wait till the end as well. So here we go. Okay. So can everybody see the Art Walk in the Woods screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. I've got many screens and I don't want you to be looking at my email. So if you're not seeing a box mural on Art Walk in the Woods, let me know with a hand up because I can still see everyone online here through the chat as well. Let's see. So again, today's Artist Information Center session, we'll be looking for people to submit a proposal, a concept to fill 7 spaces that we've got allocated for the art walk. And these sites are land-based in that they're on the trail up to the Nordic Center as well as some locations downtown. So I'll be sharing those with you and some of the concepts of how we apply and sort of what the parameters are. First thing I'd like to do is just a quick and important land acknowledgement. Spirit of Stony Nakota Nations, I say Umboa Stitch and hello. In the spirit of respect, reciprocity, and truth, we honor and acknowledge the privilege to be living, working, and playing on traditional Treaty 7 territory. I acknowledge the first name of Canmore as Chanchenchem Kundebi and celebrate the traditions, culture, and oral practices of the Yahe, Nakota, Stony Nakota, comprised of the Bearspaw, Chiniki, and Goodstoney First Nations, as well as the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprised of the Siksika, the Ghana and Ghana and the Métis Nation 3. So I say Isnis, thank you for sharing that with me. Our agenda today, again, I'll be going over a few of these different segments, just an art call overview, talk about considerations when we do land-based art, artist parameters, really what artists need to know, and how we select our artists and the submission process. There's also going to be a bunch of links at the end and some imagery that you can link into if you want to sort of look at how to, other land-based art ideas, some of the past art pieces that were present, and that may give you some other ideas as well as you build your concept. So again, the Canmore is hosting those World Cup events, 2024, February 9th through the 13th. And again, the IBU World Cup in March 11th to 14th. We've actually got World Cups running all the way from basically February through to the end of March. These two in particular, World Cup events have drawn a lot of attention. Again, sort of as a World Cross facility, what's really exciting is the Nordic Center has gotten a new biathlon center. So I think for the folks competing in the biathlon event, as well as cross-country skiing, there'll be some really neat opportunity to go up there and explore the area. There is a link here for more information on those two events, should you have more interest in those. So again, the idea of anticipating and having these two World Cup events, we're seeking art installations, sculpture, anything that really sort of reflects the idea of sport, nature, culture. We couple the idea of, again, experience with sport and art, kind of embracing both of these disciplines. And Canmore is definitely an arts community. It's definitely a sport community. And these are temporary exhibits and will be sort of in place from February 6th to March 30th. I'll be going through some of the key details on installation and sort of decommissioning those pieces. But that's kind of our window in terms of when we definitely want to have those in place by February 4th of 2024. The theme of the art walk is We Welcome the World. It's on par, in line with the World Cup events in welcoming the world. And kind of look at that as a theme to look at how we design this art walk in terms of themes and connection into the sporting events. There are 7 site locations on municipal land as well as provincial park land. Pretty much everything in our downtown center area of Canmore is town property. And as we pass the Engine Bridge and head up to the Nordic Center, we're then again within Kananaskis, Alberta provincial parks. So that we consider then extension of the Legacy Trail, which heads up that way towards the Nordic Center. Each site provides opportunity for art lovers, casual hikers, facility users visiting the downtown and accessing the Canmore Nordic Center. So I'd mentioned again the exposure for artists. We look to having exposure on the World Cup sites, whether it be media clips, probably 6-second TV videos that will be, shared with Global, CTV, CBC. So we're really trying to bump up the visibility of our artists through some of those opportunities, as well as people who, again, coming from all around the world will be coming to come along and enjoy the art walk. Accessibility, for those on the call who may be part of a neurodivergent community or having any learning challenges, if you find that it's, there's a better way to approach you in speaking with the presentation or reviewing it or even working with the application process, please, if you require any accommodation, please give me a shout on email, phone call. We can definitely talk more about the process and make sure we eliminate any barriers to people participating. So very quickly, The art call parameters, for each installation, we'd be looking at a budget of $3,000 and some at $3,500. There's two types of installations that we'll be offering, the two varying fees for installation. I'll talk about those a little bit. Deadline for proposals, again, Friday, December 8th at 4 p.m. Looking to have installation February 1st to the 4th, and taking down that sort of last couple of days in March. Now the next few slides, I'm going to get into sort of what the fees for artists include and why they're a little bit different for two varying types of installation. One is that we're asking artists to work with community as a community influence project. It's kind of like we've done a building neighborhoods builds community projects where artists work with community. It's an artist-led initiative, working with school groups, seniors groups, service clubs, community neighbors and residents to kind of come up with an idea for the art installation and or in the installation or design of it. So having that community connection and bringing forward a more of a connective, engaging community effort around our art pieces, we do offer that $3,500 for those community influenced projects. $3,000 we do offer to all artists who are participating. If you are not working with a community aspect to it, just as an individual or maybe part of a team, we'd be looking at that $3,000 fee for the artists being involved in those. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. Does anyone have any questions thus far? Keep going.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So considerations, because it is land-based art and we are on, again, provincial property, we're on town property. And in all cases, we look at it as being accessible. We take safety into account in terms of the sites we've chosen. You know, they're relatively flat. They are, again, on a makeshift trail. It's not an official trail. So a lot of times it is, we know we're going to work to keeping the snow cleared and areas to make sure our artists are accessible and that the community can walk up safely as well. In addition to that, you know, we have a natural environment there. We're considering wildlife interaction as well. So that's definitely something we can have a conversation about. If you're looking at a medium and you're kind of wondering about if it will work, I can talk with you a little bit more about that. Other sites are unmonitored. Again, they got to be consider resistance to wildlife, theft, vandalism, and weather. So thinking about your materials. It is winter. Plastic twist ties don't work so well if you're thinking about maybe using some of the natural area like the trees. I've seen people use wooden tree discs and they put them with a bungee cord because we know plastic ties don't work too well. So it's just those kind of considerations we can talk through when you have an idea kind of developing. Maintaining artwork, it would just be a matter of as we go through, and if we see something as we're walking through, you may be taking a walk yourself, but having a look through the artwork over the next couple of months is something that will be part of my job. And I'll be talking to any artist, maybe if something isn't quite right or needs repair on best how to do that, and maybe ask for a bit of an assist on that if possible. We look at engagement. We'd like to see that something, includes an education element. Maybe there's a way to encourage participation or inclusion in the art. Offering something like that as an extension of the work, that's desirable. We say, style of display of 2D artwork, paintings, photographs, or small scale craft and sculpture won't be accepted. These spaces are large. We'd be looking at 4 feet by 4 feet height and depth and width as a minimum. Color is important. You can look at creating sound, You can look at natural sounds, sort of not unnatural sounds, but kind of keeping in the theme of that nature element. And people have painted on, mural blocks, or they've again done the tree discs or other ways of putting ideas onto a different type of material in order to participate. All installations are temporary. Again, we look to them as being sort of up there for two months. There are opportunities if you want to consider that the Nordic Center will be looking for a permanent art piece. If you would like to talk more about that, it might be something you'd like to work into your design in order to make it a bit more permanent. Might be something they want to consider for purchase. As I mentioned, the artist-led, community-influenced installations will be looking for at least 2 of those sites that were of the 7 will be focused on that community-influenced installation. So that will be sort of a consideration in the proposals. The other 5 sites, again, individuals, artist teams, developing artwork, again, that's reflective of the Canmore community. That theme of "We welcome the world" is there as well. Oh, more considerations. Here we go. This is a long list, but this is all, again, available on the art call if you haven't already checked in on that. But I'll kind of go through these 12 here, and a few on the page here we'll go through. So permanent alterations. We have a tree protection bylaw, which means, we can't drill holes or put nails into the trees, but we can band around them, and we can use them to hang objects or to support objects. That we can do. We don't look at any concrete pads, but we could consider mounting artwork to a pallet. That would be considered. We talk about an agreement, which we'll ask all artists to to sign once that those artists are selected. I don't know how that one made it in there, but also noting that there's no real dumpsters or disposable facilities. So anything that you're going to be installing, gets taken up to the site and put in place. There's some road access from the top of the Nordic Center to walk down, but you probably would need a sled or other ways to bring the materials onto that trail. I would say there are some people who definitely construct their piece in-house, and then they bring it sort of prefab and ready to be put up in the spot. So that's also an option. We have one site that's power accessible, so there is the opportunity for illumination that I'll share with you when we get to that. Solar lights are also an option. We definitely have south exposure in some of the sites, and that would be an option as well to consider. I've mentioned installation for wildlife protection and criteria. We can definitely talk about that in terms of height and ability for ungulates with large antlers to walk through, and how we kind of manage that height and spacing in those particular sites. Any questions on those? Oh,
not me.
Thanks, guys. And you can also come back, because I'm sure there'll be more at some point. Oh, good. Look, we have more considerations. Okay. I think I already went through this one, so I think that's a duplicate there. I'll delete that slide. Again, I think the sustainability and wildlife piece, of course, is key in Canmore up to the Nordic Center, and I think it's part of the culture of Canmore as well. We'll talk about ways to minimize wildlife attractants, obstacles, presenting any hazards in that way. Artificial sound, again, I think that was more of a, sort of a power-focused piece, but definitely sound and creating natural sounds through wood, glass, those kinds of things I think would be amenable. Again, artificial light installation, which I think we talked about, solar power. And it's just the idea of having a light footprint. We do what we can to imagine those spaces with the light footprint. Again, building in a way that might not be conducive to climbing. I'm not so sure that that is as much of a concern, but it's definitely something to consider in design. So that's a little bit about some of the considerations. The considerations typically in a land-based design or placement of art. I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about the eligibility, budget, and insurance. And then I'll get on to the 7 sites and give you a bit of description on those so you can maybe think about where you might be interested in participating. So criteria, I'm going to walk through that. Eligibility, just going to drop this here. So the call is open to Alberta artists, artist-led teams, collectives in BC as well as Alberta. So we've got a wide reach. And we're looking for, participation. We encourage artists from, I guess, less visible communities, cultural, Indigenous communities to definitely participate and offer a different flavor or perspective to the work. It is hoped that we're providing an entry point for new and emerging artists who have little opportunity to participate in public art. We're definitely here to offer assistance for those who really want to take something like this on. It may be their first time in this arena, and we can help support and ensure success and learning along the way. Traveling to Canmore, the installation and maintenance and decommission. I guess that's all part of the commitment to installation and setup, takedown of the artwork. When we look at the budget, again, I mentioned the 3,000 Canadian. It's inclusive of GST, 3,500 for artist-led and community installations. Commission includes all costs related to artist fees, material, artwork, installation, removal, transportation, insurance, travel, and any other costs related to the creation or display of the work. Insurance. This is one where we include this as part of the artists who are selected for the 7 sites, and they're required to provide proof of general liability insurance. A lot of artists, practicing artists, have this insurance in hand. A lot of people do not, and we can talk to you about how to get that insurance through your insurance provider or bank. And it's inclusive to basically it's good for a year. Again, the portion of within your budget, if you don't have it, is looking at purchasing the insurance and looking to recoup the cost for it entirely, or for the portion of time that you're using your insurance if you do already have it. And this, again, doesn't have to be submitted only until the point where you're looking at accepting an offer. And as long as you have an intent to get insurance in your proposal, that would be great. Insurance can run from anywhere from $350 as high as $600. I've just worked with a new artist on a mural project, and his insurance was $250 for this piece. And so that's something we can definitely help you with. We don't want it to be a barrier for submissions, so please talk to me if you feel that may be the case for you. Any questions thus far? I'm going to move on to the submission criteria. This is kind of about eligibility.
Not for me. Yeah, no question.
Okay. Submissions, again, the link to keep track of is canmore.ca/artcalls. This takes you to a new bidding platform. So all of our tenders go onto this page. So you'll see it as a bidding page when you land on it. And if you scroll just a little ways down, you'll see the Canmore Art Call is there. In that piece, you will find the call for proposals. And it looks like, let me see if I can pull it up here. Have it here. So it's going to look kind of like this. Can you see that?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so you're going to kind of canmore.ca, even though this is quite long. You're going to come to bid opportunities, and you're going to pop down to Art Walk in the Woods. And it's a fillable form when we get into viewing. So here's our proposal. Most of the things I'm speaking to you with today are directly from here. I'm just going to scroll down quite a ways. Some of the sites, we're going to see all of these a little bit closer. And if we get to the bottom anytime soon, there's a fillable form. And that's kind of your first step in your submission form, saying, yes, I am interested. I'm going to work on my proposal. And again, that submission date is December 8th. And that will include all of these enclosures. So expression of interest, just, submit, let us know, and you can work on these pieces up until the 8th of December.
It's an online fillable form?
Yeah, it is. So it'll let you just type your name in, and then there is, I believe, where's the submit on it? Applicant signature. Yeah, but you still have to sign it. Yeah, this is new. I think it lets you do all of that, but you still have to like PDF it probably and sign it. It seems that way. I don't see a click. I'll look on that. That'll be a question, because you should be able to save it and then it must go somewhere. So let me find out about that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. All right, I'm just gonna drop that down. So submitting, if you're looking at, you've completed the online form, or you just send me an email, say, yeah, I'm going to submit, and then we can figure out the details on that form. That's easy as well. Again, dialogue between nature, the environment, sport, and movement are encouraged. If you're looking at that community influenced side of the proposals, then obviously connection to community and telling that story is equally important to the exhibit. So we asked about large scale design, colorful, bigger is better in the spaces. You're more than welcome to look at the space and consider the tree line, consider using that space in its entirety or in a way that sort of suits your design concept. Selection criteria and how we look at the submissions that come in is we have a public art selection committee. We work with a group of 7 individuals, typically 5 on a committee, combination of members of our Cultural Advisory Committee is a committee that reports to council that sort of is built of artists, curators, artist professionals, community residents, people who have a fundamental vision of art in the community. And they report back to council, and we report to them on projects like this. And so we do have people at that level coming into jury the submissions, as well as individuals from the art community. So groups from Canmore Art Guild or Arts Place or practicing artists up in Elk Run, or privately and personally here in the Valley. We'll be looking at this artwork. Some of our, we've got some great folks who work in 3D to help look at that work. Communication, we ask that, usually our selection committee is, I wouldn't say it's definitely a public group. In communication, we just ask you to work with myself. I'd be considered the project coordinator. And we work with the selection committee to sort of guide us on selection and making recommendations on those proposals. So the submission piece, which you'll see again on that online form, is completing that fillable form. That's the one piece. An expression of interest, I mean, we look at one page. You really want you to just quickly tell us a little bit about the practice, your interest in the project, which could also be considered your artist statement, which is a little further down. But the important part will be to look at how you're connecting to the theme, We Welcome the World, and that idea of sport, nature, connection. Also looking at the installation type, telling us which sort of category you're interested in working with and in. So where did I go? There. A budget, there is an example of the budget on that art call on the website. That will just give you an example of how to put that budget together. Again, a budget of 3,000 or 3,500, working towards that maximum. And again, the what inspires you? Tell us about your process, the materials, methods, the medium that you're wanting to use, information that relates to you and the piece itself. Resume, we say 3 pages maximum. If you're an emerging artist, you're very beginning, you don't feel you have to fill the page. If you want to give us your most recent art accomplishments, maybe some of the art shows you've been involved in, or maybe you've sold your work to friends, or maybe you've just donated your work to friends, or you're working sort of in your own little gallery at home. All those experiences are relevant. Resume, visual documentation. Oh, I said resume twice there. The visual documentation, again, it's a concept you're submitting in your proposal. You may not have visual documentation at this point. It's more of a concept or design or a sketch and a story to explain it and express it, which is great. Images that may give us an idea of something very similar or something like it, helps us sort of look at the concept and design as well. Or you may just have it all worked out and ready to go. You've got something in your garage that you think will be perfect for this. You may have all of those pieces all ready to go. So you can work within those 2 spaces around the concept and providing some insight into sharing that story, or if you've got images ready to go, that's great. References. You don't have to really worry about this piece in the application. In the proposal, we'd ask for two references, even if you just put someone's name in that placeholder. And if you are successful in the competition, and we'd only sort of contact folks if there really is we've got 2 people we're really keen on and we've only got 1 more spot, we might go to references to look at that moving forward. But if you just provide the name of a couple of people, that would be great. You don't need to divulge their contact information at this point, but just keeping in mind if we needed to sort of look at your work a little closer, or if you've got a really good media or social media profile, Instagram page, those kinds of things included, it just helps us sort of get a sense of who you are, where you are, and attest to the quality of your work. So I think the idea of submission, again, I had mentioned the web page. You've got my email. This is generally to the arts and culture box, which the website will always direct you to if you want to contact me personally at my work email or my phone. Give me a shout, and you can definitely reach me that way much more directly. So feel free to do that to discuss questions and options and all that good stuff. Finally here, and I think those are the conversations we would have going forward, is we look at the medium you're choosing, the materials you're choosing, and give you, suggestions on those that if they sort of tweak our idea of, are they posing any risks, security, health, or wildlife, we'd give you a little bit of a direction on that in the concepts as well. So let's go into a brief description of the sites below. Does anyone have any questions right now on the submission?
Nope.
No? Okay.
I just was thinking of something I read
Yeah.
on somewhere on the site. And it said something about you'll be disqualified if you talk to the people that are on the judging committee or something like that. And
What is that
how do we
about?
know who's on the judging committee? Because I have no idea. I wouldn't know if I'm talking to
Oh,
someone about it and I
no,
happen to be talking to the wrong person.
yeah.
Or that's just
Let's just say that they probably would let you know that they're on the committee.
oh, okay.
If you started, that would be it would be up to those folks to indicate that, and that would be the conversation I would be having with my jury.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, you don't have to worry about that until at least the 15th of December, which is when I think the jury will be coming together to look at proposals. So no
Oh, yeah.
problem.
Okay, thank you.
You got it. We're a small town. We're a small town.
Yes.
Yes, we are. Okay, so I've already talked about the types of installations. Does everyone have a keen sense of what that, you know, what those are, or any questions about, what those things mean at this point? No. Okay, great.
No.
So I think it was just more getting to that idea of celebrating community, winter sport, and connection. If you did have questions, that's what I would say right here. We're encouraging social cohesion, neighborhood, and community connection. I think it's great if we, can see submissions that are working with groups in our community, celebrating Canmore and community. So I'll put that out there. All right, sites. All right, everybody. How's your geography? Here we go. Okay, this might be a little small, but that's okay. Wonder if I can raise that a little bit. Yeah, I can. Good. Okay, so these little yellow dots here are site locations, and this is downtown Canmore before the river here. So before the Bow River, this first street is where I'm sitting right now, is at the Civic Center and the Arts and Culture Building, basically near our public washrooms. We're looking at a site to be designed in front of the Civic Center, again, on the side of the Arts and Culture Building. The second site we're looking at is over at Riverside Park. Before the bridge, there's a public washroom, brand new public washroom there. And just along the road where the bus stop is, site 2 lives right there. We wanted to put it along the transportation corridor. If people are taking the bus up or walking through the Riverside Trail area, they would catch a glimpse of the artwork. I put site 3 over here. This is one approach that people do take to get up to the Nordic Center. So I'm just going to sort of focus on sites 1 and 2 as people cross over and walk to. This here is the TransAlta, I guess you call it, I don't call it really a dam, but a hydro station. And the walk up here is a few switchbacks, and then you get up to the top and you're walking through a designated trail through to the Nordic Center here, which is in this facility area right there. So that's definitely one way of approach that people will be coming up. These are all, again, very much land-based in that they're within the Alberta Parks, Kananaskis area. Number 8 is actually a piece I had mentioned last time we had done this. Leslie Russell was approached to, they wanted her piece at the Nordic Center, so she has got her piece from the 2020 art walk there in place. The other way of approach is to this area up the Nordic Center is through the Spurline Trail. So a lot of people will come around this way. This is our fancy engine bridge here. And just before 10th Street, before you go to walk through the forest area, there's a nice little spot there where we're going to have an art installation there as well. And so those are kind of the three areas that are more Canmore centered and focused. And these 4, 5, 6, 7 are again Kananaskis, Alberta Legacy Trail areas of that we'd be considering. So just to kind of reiterate that sort of from a land-based perspective, here we are at the Visitor Center, Riverside Trail, spur line, up the switchbacks, there's stairs, and then we start 4, 5, 6, and 7. Visiting the sites, I would recommend wearing tracks on your boots if you're going up into these areas to have a look. Again, I'm considering that transport is challenged. There's definitely a way to drop off here a vehicle and then walk through and in to these sites. They're only not even 2 kilometers apart, so it's not too bad of a trek. Again, using a sled or other ways in is a nice way to do it. And this way would be going downhill as well. So you'd be coming from Olympic Way up here. You could park and walk in. These, of course, are street focused and open to easy transportation and access. Any questions thus far?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there like a general like square footage that we should keep in mind when planning our installation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say a minimum of 4 feet. Good to go 4 by 4, 4 to 6 high. I would say is kind of a, looking at a pallet size piece. If you're looking at something that's more integrated into the environment, like using the trees and other things, you can go much larger.
Also, I'm a muralist. I was just wondering, like, would it be possible that I could build a wall? Like, can that be a thing, or should I just stick to like 3D structure?
No, you could definitely do a wall. I'm just going to jump back here. Like this piece here was a cube, and these are like 4 by 5 panels. So if you were to do walls, you could definitely do something like that. Consider that as a way of looking at it, or looking at it from a mural perspective, you could definitely look at a wall. We could figure that out.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And some of the spaces are a different size and landscape. So as you kind of look at them, it kind of might help as we go through, kind of give you a bit of consideration on how that will all kind of come together. So I guess I'm always reminding people of, it's public accessibility and safety when we're installing and looking at it. And on installation, I'll be with you on site to do that and help out and have hopefully some volunteers if needed to support. Again, a lot of people work in studio and then bring it forward, or if you want to be sort of coming in and working on the land and working on your site sort of in real time, that works out as well too.
I have another question.
Sure.
Like I had one idea, like with involving the community with the mural. Would we compensate the community members for helping with that, or?
I think it would be part of the commission that you would have to look at, seeing how you might want to do that within your contract. We could definitely look at an event that we invite all of participating artists and community members. That would be something that we could do outside of the artist budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, celebrations are always good. So yeah, we've got budget to do that as a recognition and celebratory piece after the installations are in with the artists and those involved, absolutely. So site one, I had mentioned, is the Arts and Culture building across from City Hall. There's a bunch of plant beds, and this is being one of them. It's again about a 4x4 footprint. If you're going to put a pallet down there, it would fit quite nicely in that space. And I only give you that as a reference piece for size. You could use a pallet or you could use the ground. Again, a lot of it would be sort of frozen at that time. So if you did want to consider something, we could probably look at putting a pallet in there for installation. But maybe you see opportunities in other ways to use the space if it wasn't sort of a larger installation in that way. So definitely that's site one. Site two, again, is over by Riverside Park. The bridge that crosses is here. The washroom is pretty much here where the person is kind of walking, and the river is just on the other side. And this is a really nice little spot. It's probably about 6 feet by 8 feet in size. You can have access to some of the tree usage as well in that space. The bus stop is just here at the street line. It's quite close. It's quite an accessible spot. A lot of people walk from downtown past the Scout Center and onto Riverside Park, which is just over here. And I've got GPS location coordinates here. If I can send, maps and other things to people, but this is also a way to plug it into your browser and it'll pop up the coordinates. You can have a look at it or get yourself guided there. I haven't got the flags up there until I'll have them up next week, but there'll be an art walk in the woods signage being put up there shortly to let you know the location that you've got it right. This is the site on the Spurline Trail. So if you kept walking up this way, you would hit the, I'm calling it the railway bridge here. And basically there's a nice little spot here. 10th Avenue runs this way. And there's a nice little spot in here. Again, it's probably a 6x4 footprint. You've got a few shrubs and trees and rocks to kind of play with, to maybe consider incorporating in or using to embellish the work. So those are the 3 sites that are in the downtown area. This is kind of the last of the 3 until we head up into the Alberta Parks sites. And I know they look much more enjoyable now that they're in the summer, and I should go up and take the winter photos, but still not just a little bit of snowpack up there yet. But there is a trail that runs through. This is the first location. If you were to have come up the switchbacks this way, this is site number 4. Again, it's the furthest away from the Olympic Drive, which is way up here at the Nordic Center. You'd be coming downhill to this one. So this is site 4. It's, again, most of them are quite flat. It's a large space. You could look at sort of completing a project in sort of the tree areas and or just using the flat space to incorporate design. Where's number 5? Is that 4, 3, 4, 5? I've got site 6 twice here. It's not quite 6, but site 5 again. Site 4, sorry, I jumped. Site 4 is the furthest one away. Closest to the switchbacks, furthest from the drop down from Nordic Center. Again, open spot. And let's go back to 5, which we talked about there, which again is another similar site. I somehow have 2 pictures for site 6. They are a little bit different, but equally flat. So I'll adjust that for us. And site 7 is kind of closest to the Nordic Center walk up. Again, Olympic Way being here and coming down into this area. It's quite open in here. Again, if you're considering any kind of solar lighting, those kinds of things. Each one of these spaces allows for some good sun capture as well in those spaces if you're interested in trying something like that. So those are the 7. Again, I invite you to have a look at them on the map or use have a walk over and have a look. Like I said, I'll be putting the art signs up there this weekend. And we just got all of our maps and everything done. So I think it's not a bad time to do that. The weather's supposed to get a little bit nicer, I think, even in the next week, which is great. So any questions on that? If not, I would sort of move into some next steps and questions.
So if 2 people want the same spot, what happens then?
Yeah, we're going to ask you in your proposal to pick 2 spots.
Okay.
That you would like to consider.
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome. So just a quick recap. The idea of 3,000 and 3,500. Deadline for submissions, December 8th. Definitely have a chat with me, sort of on what you might like to do. And I'm sure if questions come up, you're more than welcome to reach out. I've got just a few pictures of some of the examples from last year's art walk that were completed. And there's some links here that you can look at for some inspiration. This is 2020's stories and the images and the artwork that was selected. There's some really great things out of Lake Louise, Vancouver, looking at public or land-based art. If you sort of know of any others that we should consider beyond these, let me know and I can include them. But hopefully that gives you a bit of inspiration and helps you think about what you might want to do to be involved. So I think that's it. Just any comments or questions for me, feel free. Are there any other slides you'd like to see again or comment on?
I think I'm good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Sue, are you going to email out the whole slide presentation or is this available on the town website?
Yeah, I'm going to email it out. So I've asked for people to put their email in the chat.
Yes, I did so.
So if you've got that there, I can send that out to you. The presentation and slides will be put up on the website. I know this video presentation will be dropped on the 17th, as well as the slides. But if you'd like them sooner, I'm happy to email them to you.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, everybody, if that's it for now, thanks so much for joining me today. And like I said, let people know that this opportunity exists. I'll be posting it out again as well. And look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Have a good evening.
Yeah, good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
I'm just gonna find my, where are you here? Let's see.